Hello, I'm Nathaniel Samuels, and I am here with...
Ina Reed Waters Holman.
Where did your last name come from, such as culture or country?
My maiden name, Waters, is an Indian name, a Catawba Indian name.
Is there a history behind this name?
Yes. The history is a French Huguenot sailed across the ocean to America and married a Catawba Indian with the last name Waters.
Has there been any changes to the name?
Well, the only changes that I know of is that a few of my relatives have chosen to spell the Waters name with 2 T's instead of 1. In fact, one of my uncles was in the Army, and the Army changed the name for him, accidentally spelling it with 2 T's instead of the 1 T, so he just left it like that. So then when he got out of the service and married, then all his children now spell their name Waters with 2 T's instead of the 1 like it's supposed to be.
Did your family make a living? If so, how?
Yes, my ancestors, they all made their living farming and selling their crops.
Did your family stay in one place, or did they move around?
They pretty much were in one place. My dad's parents lived in Wilkes County in an area named Patton's Ridge, many miles away from other neighbors and townships.
How did they come to live in this area?
Well, the area was good for crops, and that was where the family of my great-great-grandfather lived.
What stories have come down to you about your parents and grandparents?
Well, my dad used to walk to school every day. He had 8 brothers and sisters. They all had to milk the cows and chop the wood and help on the farm. They had a spring where they got their water. They had an outhouse for a toilet. They had apple trees and cherry trees and grapevines. And I remember my dad telling how had a bent finger, and it was caused by his brother Fred rocking on it with a rocking chair. And my dad used to help make moonshine in the mountains of Wilkes County. And he continued to bend the elbow in his adult years also.
Did your family pass down any traditions or skills to you?
Well, my dad owned and managed a local country store in Kings Creek, where he moved after he and Mom were married. All the children were trained to work in this grocery store. We had to stock the grocery shelves and pump the gas and kerosene and fuel oil, and I used to watch my dad fix flats. He would put patches on inner tubes, and I would ride with him in the truck when he delivered groceries to the local homes who were his customers. My dad used to cut hair in the back of his grocery store, and my brother and my sister watched him, and they were taught the barbering skill by my dad.
So these traditions and skills still go on?
Yes, my oldest brother and older sister, they went on to barber college, and they had their own barber shop in a shop in Hickory. They became partners. And I also can cut men's hair and women's hair. But although I got my interest back then, I learned my skill in a cosmetology school in Hickory.
What do you think is the future of this tradition?
Well, I use my skills even today for family and friends only, not for profits. My sister actually, she's retired, and my brother, who was a barber, he passed away 5 years ago in April this year. But my skills in the grocery store, checking out groceries and using the cash register and figuring up prices and stuff, has really helped me when I'm doing my financial reports and deposits at the Robbins Medical Park.
Have you passed this tradition on?
As far as the haircutting skills, not so much. My daughters, well, my older daughter, she can cut hair, but my younger daughter, not so much. The skills that I got helping Dad in the checkout counter, I'm using that with confidence during my difficult reports at work.
How have historical events affected your family and community? For example, World War II or the Civil Rights Movement.
Before I was born, my dad helped build airplanes during World War II. And I had friends that were in the National Guard that were called out to help control the riots in Winston-Salem and Greensboro during the Civil Rights Movement.
Where and when were you born?
I was born in Caldwell County, February 5th, 1951.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the township of Kings Creek, Lenore, North Carolina.
Do you miss this place?
I do, very much. I pass through there once in a while, but I really love living in the area.
Do you remember what it looks like?
Oh, yes. There were actually 3 country stores, several Baptist churches. There was Kings Creek Elementary School and Kings Creek High School. Rural areas, lots of dirt roads, beautiful green mountains, plush, forest, woods. Just an ideal environment to raise kids.
What places stand out most to you in your mind?
What really stands out most in my mind are the areas right in front of my dad's grocery store, the little country store, because we had close neighbors, another store, and an upholstery shop right across the highway. Church, you could walk to church. You could walk to friends' houses. It was just a fun place to live.
What were your neighbors like and your community?
Well, the neighbors were very close-knit, outgoing and friendly. Didn't have to lock your doors at night. No crime. Lots of fun on Saturday night when the teenage boys would drag race up and down the straight stretch there in front of Dad's store. Not much traffic in those days.
What kinds of local gatherings and events were there?
Well, there were always the church services, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night choir practice, training union on Sunday night, and Sunday school Sunday morning. There was always something going on at the school, always events there, PTA meetings and fall festivals and special singings and chapel programs, and the Saline players came a couple of times a year. A play group. It was nothing fancy or elaborate, just country folks having fun.
Are any of these gatherings and events still there?
Well, of course the church's still there and the school is still there. School's very active, and they have ball games and soccer games and softball and basketball, and they still have the fall festival.
What stories and memories come to mind about you growing up?
Well, I can remember riding in the back of Dad's pickup truck and going with Mom to town. She would shop in Lenore, and she would drop my brother Max and myself off at the park in town to play.
What games did you play when you were a child?
Well, my brother taught me to ride a bike and box with boxing gloves, and actually beat him a couple of times in the wrestling ring. He taught me to play badminton and throw a football. We played tag, we played softball. I remember trying to teach him to sing I'm a Little Teapot, but he wasn't interested.
What kinds of toys did you play with?
I played with dolls and checkers and paper dolls and plastic toy dishes, toy ironing board and iron, Play-Doh and hula hoop, roller skates, bicycles. Sometimes I'd sneak Max's cat pistol, but I would always have to put them back if he caught me.
What kind of home entertainment was there?
Well, we had the TV, of course. I remember watching Walt Disney and watching Dumbo the Clown. We had a piano. We always had a piano, and all the children were given piano lessons. So there was always music in the house, music and singing.
Was there any storytelling?
Well, there was some. My dad used to tell about life in Patton's Ridge as a child, and my mom used to tell about her experiences as a child. But, we had the first TV in the community at Kings Creek, so there was a lot of TV watching. And, in fact, I remember a sign that Dad had on the outside of the store that said, "Come in, we have TV." It was really a big deal back then and drew in a lot of customers, although at the time I didn't realize it.
Where have you lived throughout your life?
I have lived in Kings Creek, I've lived in Boone, North Carolina, Blowing Rock, North Carolina, Uptown, Lenore, and I guess that's about it.
Do you miss any places you've lived, or have any regrets moving from somewhere?
Well, I really miss living in Boone. I was up on the campus of ASU in the dorm, and that is such a great area, beautiful weather, crisp air, great shops, great activities. It's just a fun place to live.
What jobs have you had?
Well, I've worked at Watauga Hospital, Broy Hill main offices, Kings Creek School, Anderson Truck Line, Mulberry Family Practice, the offices of Dr. Scheil in Carswell, Caldwell Memorial Hospital, Caldwell Urology, and Robbins Medical Park.
Did you enjoy them all?
Well, I did. I liked all of them. I liked Anderson Truck Lines the least because I worked in a room with smokers, and I reeked of cigarette smoke every evening when I left there. Hated that.
Did you specifically enjoy any of the jobs?
Yes, I enjoyed the urology practice with Dr. Snow, Dr. Ho, and Dr. Bauer. And also I enjoy my job at Robbins Medical Park very much.
Is that what you do for a living now?
Yes, I'm presently employed for Caldwell Memorial Hospital at the Robbins Medical Park and Urgent Care.
And do you enjoy this job?
I do. I'm an administrative office assistant working in the business office section, and I do enjoy the job very much. It's a great place to work.
Thank you, Ina, for your time.
Okay, you're welcome.
Did you have any stories passed down from your ancestors?
Well, I know that the old home place where my dad was raised was built by my grandfather and my great-grandfather. It was built of wood and rocks, complete with 2 chimneys and an upstairs and a wraparound porch. They both ran moonshine too, but was very active in religious affairs, which in those days was not a conflict of interest. And they were also farmers.